Mpasua Msonobari TV, pale ambapo habari hukutana na wataalamu.
We have a gentleman I've been longing to meet for a very, very long time. He's a gentleman who needs no introduction. I think we've been sharing a lot of his videos through our WhatsApp and everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, TD Jakes.
Thank you.
Welcome to Kenya.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I was actually checking out the promos, so you know a bit of Swahili. Jambo.
Jambo, very little. Yeah, just a little.
Interesting. One of the interesting things, when the promotion for this particular Soar conference was going on, one day I was actually driving with the Uber driver, and we saw your image there, and one of the things that usually struck the driver was that you're a businessman and an author. We know you as on your ministry side. Mm-hmm. And when I was going through past interviews that you did at the Breakfast Club, I got to understand that you grew up in a family that's entrepreneurial. Your father was an entrepreneur. How exactly was it for you growing up in an entrepreneurial family?
You know, I didn't really realize at the time when I was a child that it would have such an impression on me. But I just happened to be in the room where he and my mother or he and various business people would be having conversations about business. I cannot stress how important it is to raise your children in the atmosphere of your business as opposed to shooing them away, because inevitably that affected how I saw life and what my normatives were, because I grew up in a family where they had taxes and payrolls and things like that to handle, to manage money and budget and that sort of thing was a part of the narrative that I heard as a child, and it served me well as I became.
And interestingly, your dad passed on when you were 16, and by the time your dad had 52 employees, which actually in the 60s in the States, it's not a small deal, it's a big deal.
It was a big deal at the time.
How did your father influence you in terms of business?
I think the first thing, when I think of my dad, I think of a work ethic. He had a very strong work ethic. He insisted that I have one too. And he was tenacious and relentless. And he inspired me because he had very little to work with, very little excess capital to work with. He had to grow his own capital while he was growing his business. And the reason I wrote the book Soar is because so many of us don't have access to the capital that we would like to have. So what do we do in the absence of that? My father epitomized that in how he grew his business, and it helped me both as a business person and it helped me as a pastor founding a church as well.
And speaking about capital, which is one of the biggest limitations for any entrepreneur, especially here in Kenya, I believe all across the world, how does one go, any entrepreneur or any person wishing to get into business, which way can you, bootstrap your way into getting to your dream? Because I know capital is always an excuse for each and every person who wants to get into business.
It's a real problem, but it is better today than it's ever been because of technology, because of social media. Your cost for advertisement has gone down exponentially than what it used to be to buy radio time or television time or just to depend on billboards. That creates an opportunity for great savings. What we have to do is put some of that money back and reinvest it back into the business, and budget sometimes somewhat severely in order to believe in your dream. Starting anything initially, a lot of times I think we rush to success because we want to impress people with our accomplishments, but gratification delayed is very effective when it comes to building a business. You have to understand that there are going to be years of sacrifice, and then there's going to be years of surplus, and if you have the surplus before you have the sacrifice, your business doesn't last very long.
Yeah, and speaking about that and about your journey, you got into business quite early. Take me through your journey. How exactly was it?
I can't think of a time in my life that I haven't worked outside of ministry. All of my life, people didn't see it. It wasn't on television, but I've always been entrepreneurial, always dabbled in real estate. My mother dabbled in real estate. It set a prerequisite for me in my life. And though it started on a very small scale, as the Bible will say, despise not the day of small beginnings. You need small beginnings so that you can work out your mistakes while they are still small. And you need them because you're going to build the kinds of relationships that are necessary to sustain the business as it grows. Because really at the core of business is nothing but relationships.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Mpasua Msonobari TV, pale ambapo habari hukutana na wataalamu.